Hot off the presses, Mike DeCourcy's latest bracketology on Fox Sports. This came out within the last hour. You see his two seeds from the Big Ten in Purdue and Wisconsin. Michigan State now down to a 4. Illinois still at just a 5. Yes, Katz is putting up his hands.
So
what?
I think this is a great example where they're probably a 5 numbers-wise, but I don't think if the selection committee was standing right here in the room, I don't see how the selection committee would put them as a 5 on the eye test. Like if you watch Illinois, you can't tell me that they are a 5 seed. I think there would be an uproar for the other seeds. But I get it. Numbers-wise, they probably would be.
Right. I'm with you. I think they're really good. I've been saying all along, I think they might have the highest ceiling in the league. So I'm not going to change anything based on that. But again, 7 teams in, Minnesota among the next 4 out. There are several Big Ten teams kind of trying to get their way back into that conversation. And there were a few brackets at the kind of very beginning of the year, maybe like, kind of mid-December-ish, where Northwestern appeared on them briefly. And then the Wildcats went on this streak where they have not been good at home, lost to Penn State at home, lost to Maryland at home, lost the big home lead against Michigan State, and it kind of felt like it was done. And then, maybe the most eye-opening results of the weekend, Northwestern going on the road to Michigan State without Pete Nance, who's top 7 in the Big Ten in scoring and rebounding, far and away their best player, and getting just their 5th ever road win against an AP top 10 team. And so now I think you believe they're somewhat back here maybe on life support.
And I will just say this. I didn't have a chance because I wasn't in here. I still would like an explanation because I've never seen a team get 2 calls against them in the final second, a travel call and a foul. So I will say it that, I reached out to Rick Boyages in the Big Ten, just like, at least explain it. Never heard an explanation because I did not see it.
The travel call was curious.
In the final
there were 2 guys holding the ball, but
I know.
it didn't look like either one of them.
I know.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yes,
all right, so here's the deal with Northwestern.
Crazy.
Which plays Wisconsin tonight.
Home against Wisconsin.
Yes.
Yeah.
2-4 in the Big Ten. They have 2 road wins, which is significant. At Maryland, at Michigan State.
Yeah.
Road and neutral wins matter more than home losses. So believe it or not. So what does that mean? That means opportunities are still there for them. Obviously, you want home wins. They need wins. Yeah. So this is one of them against Wisconsin. I don't assume that they would beat Purdue on the road. That would be obviously a reach. But I'm going to circle January 26th. Believe it or not.
Yep.
Believe it or not. I mean, Michigan is incredibly vulnerable right now. That is a gettable game, and that would be huge for Northwestern. And then the bottom 3 on your screen are all technically winnable, and that would change the narrative for Northwestern. Now, they could lose all 6 of these, but there's a chance in this 6-game stretch where if they went 4-2, if Pete Nance is healthy and he's 50-50 for tonight with an ankle, I wouldn't be shocked if they went 4-2 with that group.
Wow, I would be. That'd be pretty good. I mean, it's just keep in mind. I mean, they have 2 more games coming up here against top 10 teams.
I know that.
Consecutively. They've never beaten 2 top 10 teams in the same year.
Okay, but here's the deal.
Yeah, and Illinois is going to be
Rutgers home at Nebraska, winnable.
Yeah.
So that's 2. So now you got to get 2 of the other 4.
Right.
Obviously at Purdue, probably the least likely. And then I would say home Illinois might be the second least likely. Yeah. So beating Wisconsin and winning at Michigan, they are plausible.
No doubt. I mean, look, again, I think you look at what they did. I mean, you win at Michigan State, it kind of speaks to, you can probably, again, without your best player, probably speaks to you can beat just about anyone on any given night. The issue has been the close games. I mean, if they had just won 1 of Maryland and Penn State, then they'd kind of be right where you'd expect them to be. They'd kind of be on track that maybe you lost 1, you shouldn't lose. You won 1, you shouldn't win, and you kind of say, all right, they're in a good spot. But we'll see. Again, have to defend home court. They're 0-3 at home, lose tonight to Wisconsin 0-4. It's tough. It's tough to overcome that. So see whether or not they can pull that off. The one thing they do have going for them is no truly bad losses. I would say the opposite of the next team we're going to discuss, and that is Rutgers. Rutgers has some really bad losses, right? I mean, they lost to Lafayette at home. Lafayette is a bad team. They lost to UMass as well on the road. And I know you're going to tell me there were mitigating factors and all those things. I remember you saying to me once, we were at ESPN and we were talking through some bubble team. right? And you said to me, you said to me something to the effect of, Dave, their RPI is 64, right? And you don't get into the tournament with an AARP RPI. I will never forget that. I definitely chuckled to myself. Okay, if 64 was an AARP RPI, Rutgers has a Methuselah net.
Yes.
Okay, I mean their net is well over 100. So it seems to me they're going to have to do, incredible work to overcome those losses. I know you can explain them away somewhat with injuries, but they have a lot of work to do.
Yes, but it is doable. I mean, that's the difference.
Yeah.
With, their big two, with Geo Baker and Ron Harper Jr., and Cliff Amore's playing well, obviously, and they're getting other contributions, whether that's McConnell, Mulcahy, the bench is playing well. I mean, they have the personnel to do it. Now the question, look at their schedule. I mean, there are also winnable games for Rutgers.
Much more winnable. And this is a very winnable stretch for them.
And
no doubt. Here it is. Yeah.
The Purdue game doesn't go away. Okay, they beat Purdue.
No doubt.
Without Geo Baker.
Yes.
All right, so it almost has more significance. All right, Iowa at home, huge game. Definitely winnable. Maryland at home, definitely can win it. You get a sweep of Maryland. And then the 3 road games, all winnable. I mean, if you told me, if we're sitting here on this desk on February 2nd, and they won these 5 games, I wouldn't be shocked.
And I'm with you 100%. Right. So I think they definitely have ways to dig out of this. And yes. I'm not disagreeing with you.
If they're anyway. Let's say they're 9-2 or 8-3 in the Big Ten. Let's give them just one loss in the next 5. So they're 8-3 in the Big Ten. Does that eliminate what happened in the past? No. But that puts them in a pretty good position for the stretch run.
And I 100% agree. And again, we were talking about this on the set on Saturday, just kind of the notion of they have such a manageable schedule.
Yes.
Here, right? And again, you bank that one against Purdue. I guess the question just becomes, and I have always been of the belief that it should be, the NCAA tournament selection should come down to, who did you prove to me that you can beat? Tell me what you were at your best, and not what you were at your worst. And so I think Rutgers has a chance to prove that what they are at their best. Have already proven to a certain extent that, hey, we beat Purdue, a team that may very well end up on
without our second best player.
Yeah, no doubt. So I hear you, and again, that's why I just feel like they have a lot of ground to make up. I mean, again, where their net ranking is challenging. What's interesting is that of the 3 teams we're going to discuss here, the one that is in the conversation right now, according to Mike, is Minnesota. And yet, I think based on what we've seen here recently, based on what seemed to be health and safety protocol issues that they had over the weekend, because they had several players who were unavailable for the game, and then the injury to Eric Curry, the lack of depth, it looks like it's going to be challenging for them here going forward.
Yeah, so the flip side is Northwestern, Rutgers didn't do enough in the non-conference. Minnesota did. I mean, we've talked about this on the show. They win a tournament in Nashville. They win at Mississippi State, which, by the way, is playing really well right now, just beat Alabama, so that win looks better. They won at Pitt. So they had 5 wins away from home. Then in the Big Ten, they get a 6th by winning at Michigan. So they were looking really good. Now they're 1-5. So they got to do their work in the league. They're going to have to get healthy. We don't know what their status is right now, but if it's a healthy Minnesota, that's a challenging schedule no matter what. And so, believe it or not, I wouldn't have said this a couple weeks ago, and this is how things change. I've now flipped it, where of the 3 teams we're discussing, I'm least, I probably have the least amount of faith now in Minnesota of the 3, based on where they are right now, their situation, and the schedule ahead of them.
Right. I mean, they certainly have the best resume, as indicated by what Mike said. But if you're kind of making a futures pick, again, you just never count them out. Well, because
they could end up being 2-8.
No, I hear you. You just never count them out because of the way they play.
I know.
Man, they nearly pulled it out yesterday.
I know.
It was crazy, or 2 days ago. It was crazy. I mean, they never, ever give up. But
I will say this, and I'm not shilling for the network here or the league, but you have to remember this when we think about teams. It is not just in a vacuum. It's compared to the rest of the country.
Right.
And to say, the Big Ten can't get 9, 10, 11 teams in, they can if the rest of the country goes down. And, the ACC isn't pushing a lot of teams in right now.
No.
And the SEC and the Pac-12, all these other leagues are cannibalizing themselves. Same with the Big East. So it is still plausible if they take care of business.
We shall see. James White, part of a long line of fabulous Wisconsin running backs, had a really good career in Madison between 2010 and 2013, rushing for at least 700 yards in each of those years, including a career high 1,440 as a senior. Former Big Ten Freshman of the Year, played in 3 Rose Bowls as a Badger before being drafted in the 4th round of the 2014 draft by the Patriots, with whom he's won 3 Super Bowls. You see 6th all-time in school history in rushing. What's particularly amazing is he shared carries in his career with 2 of the guys ahead of him, Monte Ball and Melvin Gordon. So you wonder what he could have done without those pesky guys around. Ron Dayne, of course, remains the all-time leader, and it is time for our big interview. We've been hyping it all day. 3-time Big Ten champ, 3-time Super Bowl champ, James White, is with us. Thanks so much for taking the time. People who follow the NFL are probably aware you got hurt at the very beginning of this year. You hurt your hip. Bring us up to date on how you're doing health-wise.
I'm doing a lot better now. About 2 or 3 months out and finally back walking and just getting stronger and stronger each and every week, just trying to take my time and make sure I'm fully recovered. I think that's what's most important for me right now.
You said finally back walking. How long did it take you to get back walking?
Like 11, 12 weeks before I started walking. I have a 2- and a 1-year-old at home, so it was pretty funny trying to move around the house with them. My son would hand me my crutches and stuff to get me up and get walking, so it was pretty interesting.
Well, we're glad you're back up and at it. Now, your team was not back up and at it this weekend. It was ugly. Losing to the Bills, I probably don't need to regale you with the details, but just give me a sense of what it's like to kind of watch the season dissolve like that and not be able to do anything about it, frankly.
Definitely was tough for me. This is the longest I've ever been out of the game of football in my entire life, and this season was definitely challenging, sitting back and watching. But, I mean, those guys, they battled through a lot of adversity throughout the year. We didn't start as well as we wanted to, but those guys went on like a 6 or 7 game win streak during the season, and they battled as hard as they possibly could. Obviously, it wasn't the result that anybody wanted. I know those guys, they'll bounce back and get it going and be ready to go for next year.
I'm fascinated just to pick your brain about being a Patriot. I want to get to all the Wisconsin stuff, but I mean, the Patriots are, if you were to talk about a franchise that fascinates the most people in the sports world, it might be that one, just because of the prolonged and consistent excellence under Bill Belichick. And one of the things we hear so much about is culture. So what is the culture? Define the New England culture and how important that is.
I think they're just bringing guys that are going to work hard, put the team first, and it's going to be challenging each and every day you step into the building. It's never going to be easy, whether it's Bill asking you questions, practice being hard, OTAs being hard, doing a bunch of conditioning. They're just going to challenge you each and every day because they want you to be the best player you can be. Not everybody's built for that or wants to be a part of that, but I think it was great for me. I was definitely honored to be drafted to such a prestigious organization, to learn from, Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, Tom Brady, Devin McCourty, Matthew Slater, getting to pick those guys' brain and seeing how hard they've worked and how much success they've had for such a long time. I could only want to emulate it, and I'm definitely blessed to have had that opportunity.
I want to ask you about 2 of those guys you mentioned. The first one is Belichick. I think those of us who don't know him, and I do not know him, I don't know that I've ever met him, okay, but I see him as gruff and humorless and just not a whole lot of fun to be around. What is he like day to day? I mean, does he ever smile?
He definitely smiles. I just don't think he likes the media very much, but he smiles.
He doesn't hide that very well.
No, he doesn't hide that at all. But he smiles. He's a funny guy. Like I said, he loves the game of football. He's going to do whatever it takes to make sure his team's prepared and ready to go, and whether that's not talking to the media, that's a part of his personality. But he's a great guy and just a great football mind. Just honored that I played for him.
Like, does he have warmth? Does he show like a human side ever when you're around him?
Yeah, he has all that.
How so? Give me an example of when you saw Bill Belichick act like a normal human being.
Just walking through the building on a daily basis. I know with us as running backs, he jokes around with us all the time because during training camp, guys will be banged up a little bit. Some guys won't be practicing. He'll always be walking by us like, oh, another running back not practicing. What's new? This and that. He just, he's always on his P's and Q's, just keeping everybody light on their feet. He's a great guy. I know most media people may not think that. He's a great guy.
What about Brady? What was it like to play with Brady?
I mean, it's awesome. For a guy that played 20-plus years in the NFL to have so much success, he attacks it like he's a rookie each and every day. He just knows so much, very knowledgeable, knows every person on the team from an undrafted rookie to the oldest. I mean, he's the oldest guy, but to any of the other veterans on the team. But he knows everything about everybody. He's a constant competitor, and he demands the best out of you each and every day. And that's all you can ask for out of your quarterback. When you see a guy like that working so hard for such a long time, you want to play hard for him.
You talk any Big Ten smack with him? Any Badger Wolverine smack? Because Wisconsin up until this year had the upper hand.
I never really talked too much smack to him. We've got Michigan probably previously before these past few years. We've handled them pretty well, but I think they've kind of taken over a little bit, so I hold on the trash talk.
All right, fair enough. You got to know when, right?
Yeah.
You got to pick your spots. Let's talk a little bit about your time at Wisconsin. It was remarkable. I mentioned you played 3 Rose Bowls in 4 years. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. What's your best memory?
Best memory? I'll say my favorite game was my freshman year, us beating Ohio State at home. That was an amazing atmosphere.
They were number one, right?
They were number one in the country. I know David Gilreath running that kickoff return back. That was just the perfect way to start the game, and I think that gave us the spark to take those guys down. That's probably one of my fondest memories. Also, I always get on Rex Burkhead about that Big Ten championship where we beat Nebraska, where me, Monty, and Melvin, we kind of ran crazy all over.
70 on us. Yeah.
That was a fun one, too.
That was an unbelievable display. Huskers fans don't remember it quite as fondly, I have noticed. Why Wisconsin? You're a South Florida kid. How did you end up in Madison?
Well, the year before I graduated high school, Des Southward and Connor O'Neill, they went to high school with me. They went to Wisconsin before I did, so I wanted to check it out. And I knew they were going to run the football, get into that campus. I loved it. I wanted to be a part of a pro-style offense. I felt like that would prepare me if I wanted to make it to the next level, and it definitely helped me tremendously.
How would you find the culture there? Like, it seems to me, you talk about running the football. It seems to me, they have been so consistent, not necessarily the Patriots, but I mean, in terms of knowing what you're going to get year in and year out. Why has Wisconsin been able to do that?
I think it's very similar, just recruiting the right type of guys that put the team first, are going to work hard in the weight room, on the field, and they're going to prepare you very well. I know Coach Chris, he was my offensive coordinator when I was at Wisconsin. The type of coach he is, he's very demanding, and he knows what he's doing, and he demands the best out of his players. And I think they just bring the right fit of guy into the program, and it's been working for them.
And of course, Brett Bielema was your head coach, and then he was an assistant for a while when you were in New England. What was that like?
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool getting to see Brett again. He was a defensive line coach. I know the guys liked him there, and it's pretty different to see him at Illinois now and seeing him compete against Coach Chris, because Coach Chris was the offensive coordinator when he was our head coach. So it's kind of cool to see him back in the college football game. He's a good coach.
Compare playing in the Rose Bowl to playing in the Super Bowl.
Well, I say the Super Bowl is a lot more flashy. There's a lot more cameras and all things of that nature. But there's nothing quite like the Rose Bowl as well, that they lay the grass down, like the week of the game or something like that. And that atmosphere, the day to the night, it's electric atmosphere. And obviously, I lost all 3 of my Rose Bowls. But
yeah, you did very better in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I didn't win any bowl games in college, which was kind of weird. But
right.
It was electric atmosphere. The whole week is fun leading up to it, from the Lowrys, eating, the prime rib and all that good stuff. It was definitely a fun week. None of them resulted in the way I wanted to, but we had a good time.
Okay, but the Super Bowls did.
Yeah.
Now, you should have been the MVP of Super Bowl. I think it was 51. Right? You should have been the MVP. And in fact, I think did Tom Brady not give you his truck?
I got the truck.
Yeah. I mean, are you bitter about that at all? Because I'd be bitter, but I'm a petty human being. So yeah,
I'm not bitter because he threw for like 500 yards or something like that. So I can't really take that away from him. And I said, we'll all always remember that football game, the amount of hard work it took to come back from being down, 25 points.
Yeah,
or whatever.
huge comeback, right?
It was crazy. I was so exhausted after that game, but it's just something I always remember, whether I got the MVP trophy or not.
Okay, but you will always be able to say you have a Super Bowl record for receptions and a game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. Game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. Like, take me back to that moment.
It's still pretty surreal. Almost still kind of seems fake to me. Like I said, my rookie year, we made it to the Super Bowl. I was inactive for that game, so I was on the sideline watching, and to get another opportunity to actually play in that game, I wanted to do whatever I could to help my team win. And obviously the first half, I was like, man, I don't want to go out like this. And I was still just doing whatever I could to scratch and claw to get us back in the game. I think everybody did. And, Dante Hightower making that huge strip sack that kind of, pushed us over the top and gave us even more boost of confidence knowing that we can actually win.
Is it weird to you that you will go down in kind of NFL annals more as a receiver than a runner? Like, did you see that coming at all?
No, I mean, it's still kind of weird to me. I know everybody tries to call me a receiver, but to me, I'm a running back just that can catch and run routes. That's what I call myself. The Patriots is the role they wanted me in, and like I said, I just go out there and execute at a high level. That's what I go out and try and do.
All right, so what's next? I know you want to get back into the game if you can. If not, what do you aspire to do with the rest of your life?
For me, I'm still trying to figure that out. Whether it's being an analyst, being a broadcaster, being a coach. There's a lot of things that I like to try and figure out what I like to do, is figure out what I'm good at as well. But for that, right now, I'm just focused on getting fully healthy, and whenever that comes, we'll take it from there.
Well, congratulations on all of your success. Really nice of you to spend a few minutes here visiting with us, and great to see you up and walking around. And I'm sure your kids feel the same way. Now you can, get them their toys and all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, I was getting them with the crutches.
It's just reaching out, right? All right, James. Hey, thanks a lot. Really great to visit with you.